Hi, thought we'd change up the scenery. This is a reflection on lesson 170 in A Course in Miracles. There is no cruelty in God and there is no cruelty in me. I think that's what it says. There is no cruelty in God and there is no cruelty in me. By the way, I'm laying on a rock like a lizard because I just bathed in the creek. Everything's all packed up from my campsite. All I had left to do is get clean enough to not feel like a mountain person because I might not have a chance to shower when I get home before I'm around people again. So I thought I'll do them a solid and get clean. It feels so good. So there is no cruelty in me. There is no cruelty in God. There is no cruelty in God. Therefore, there is no cruelty in me. So I think it says if you think in a cruel way, it's out of fear, and you feel like you need to defend yourself against the fear of attack. But if you just don't first jump to defend the fear and just see fear for what it is, and that there's really no one attacking, even when you attack yourself, you can say, wait a minute, it's just fear. There's no need to do this. It says lay down your arms, and then you're free. And I find that true for myself. Like my mind just starts going in crazy circles, defending against stories. Like I'm telling stories in my mind about maybe I accidentally hurt somebody's feelings, or maybe somebody said something that I was like, why do I feel this way? That's a rare one, but usually it's me thinking I hurt somebody's feelings, or I said something that was insensitive. And then my head just spirals on playing all sides of the fence. And some of those are defensive thoughts, like defending against the attack, the initial, like the attack that I might perceive from them. Attack is a strong word, but it's usually like, it's that ping-ponging kind of mind nonsense for me. It's like just storytelling so that I basically account for all angles. Like, well, if this happens, then that, and if this, then that. It's usually an if-then sort of spiral in my mind. Hi again. Apparently my phone overheated and the camera will not work when the phone is in a hot state. So, obviously, I'm in a different time of day. It's a few hours later. A lot of dry going on. I'm heading out of, since we were last talking, I have now gotten dressed from my post-creek bath on the rock. And man, it's dry. I feel like I'm inhaling dust. Hold on one second. I didn't realize it until I started to talk. Okay, and a lot's happened in the last 3 hours, which gets me thinking back to the lesson we were talking about there's no cruelty in me or God. There's no need to form defense thoughts or attack thoughts, because that's all based in fear, which fear is usually stemming from some state of illusion, like forgetting our true nature. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I would not have started recording until figuring this out. I need a lozenge. So, a lot's happened. I got in a car accident in Custer because I thought, everybody's fine. Everybody's fine. Nobody was hurt in any way whatsoever. Just our cars. And my poor car, it's only a year and a few months old, got its first little fender bender. Literally bent and broke a piece of my fender out and crunched the metal too. So it's like, and her car, same thing, popped a piece of plastic off, which got popped back in by her boyfriend, and a big dent in her car. But she wasn't harmed. She didn't even look shaken, even though I ran up to her and I was just like, are you okay? Are you okay? Even though I knew it wasn't big enough to cause bodily harm, but you never really know. And then, but I was really worried about, was she shooken up at all? And so she didn't look like it, and she was like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. She was trying to like make sure I knew it was okay. But then I was like, yeah, but your nervous system, is your nervous system okay? And she was like, oh yeah, that's fine. I'm like, but a lot of times it can have a delayed effect. So I just want to make sure your nervous system will be okay. And it's probably coming out of a week-long trauma healing training about trauma and the nervous system. So I'm like, physically you're fine, but yeah, what about your nervous system? And we hugged. She wanted to give me a hug, let me know it was all okay, because it was my fault. I was going through the heart of Custer, South Dakota, on my way out of town for good. I'm all packed up, leaving. I thought, you know what, I'll leave a different way. Then it wanted to take me the short route to I-90, and I'm like, no, let me go through Custer, because I talked with a camper who said, you got to check out Custer. There's some great stuff there. And I'm like, you know what, I will. I have extra time. I will do that. And then I get into the town. In my mind, so I see a parking spot open. I was excited because there were no parking spots. So that was my first problem. That's where it stemmed from. The second part of my problem was me believing that I was already in the right lane. I don't know why in my brains I thought I was in the right lane, but I was actually in the left lane of, 2 lanes going in one direction. I thought I was in the right lane, so I could easily turn into the parking lot or parking spot. No problem. Apparently, no. When I turned, I had this realization, oh crap, I'm in the left lane because I'm crossing those dotted white lines, right? Which indicate, you're in the left of a 2-lane street. And then no sooner than I had that realization, crashed into a car coming right up along the right side of me, in the right lane. So I pulled into the parking spot, and she pulled around me and parked in the next available spot, and we're running toward each other like, and exchanged information and all that. And it was as smooth as could be. Nobody was hurt. Everybody's happy. Except she was in her mom's car, and I'm like, tell your mom I'm sorry. So yeah, lots happened since we were last together. And then I walked around town, and I was checking in on my own nervous system. I didn't have in the past, I know for sure I would have been revved up. It was like, it just moved through me. Like I didn't register any activation at all, which is a huge realization for me. Like it used to be like something like that would get me in a like almost hyperventilating, because that's where it always used to present itself, as an inability to breathe. And there was nothing. And then of course I'm like, yeah, but check in with yourself later just to make sure delayed effect of the nervous system isn't like, because that can happen. But I feel okay. And then something else happened, which maybe indicates that, I took time. So anyway, I'll describe it. I went to one more place after walking around town in Custer. My final stop, I actually purchased something as a thing to share with friends when I get back. And there was a lot of exchange between me and the person. And then I used the restroom, and there's a lot that happened in between me handing over my card and me leaving. And apparently I left my card there. I didn't realize it till I was 45 minutes away. But with enough time to spare, I thought, okay, well, I'll call them and see if they have it, because I don't mind driving there and back, which would be an hour and a half loss. But I have plenty of time for that before I need to be home for Matt's music gig. And so that's the main thing. I just want to get there in plenty of time to see him play. So I call, and they don't have it anywhere. And I'm like, interesting, because now that I think back, I don't remember getting my card back. I remember getting the receipt, but no card. And it wasn't one of those where I swipe it. It was, I'm not talking to you. Google thinks I'm talking to you. And it says, hi, can I help? No, you can't help.
Here are some things you can try. You can say, send a text to John saying
No,
I'll be
stop.
there in 5 minutes.
Stop.
Or, what's my next meeting? By the way, next time you can also press and hold the mic button on your steering wheel to act. I'm seeing John Cousins, John Ingalls, and 3 others. Which one do you want to message?
None. I think I must have hit a button. Well, now you know the names of some Johns in my phone. None. 0. Stop.
Since I'm having trouble understanding, you might want to check the contact list on your phone.
Okay, I will. Thanks for that suggestion. Can you hear all that? This is why you shouldn't do multiple things and drive, especially in a day where you've already had a traffic accident. What I'm noticing, I'm just finding it very interesting. All the weird stuff that's been happening today. It's kind of neat in a way. But I'll have to do a different video about that. But anyway, I think I did have my hand on the button. Oh, I did. There's like a voice activation there. Okay, anyway. Learned a new feature. So I called to ask if they had my card, and I got a gentleman who did not help me when I was there. I saw him, but he wasn't the one who I transacted with. And so why am I telling you this? This is not what this video is about. I guess I just am filling the time between when my phone shut off and now. Because why not? Maybe I do need to process all that happened. Thank you for helping me. Allowing this. So he was busy waiting on people. I felt bad for taking his time, but I'm like, I will drive back if you have my card. And this is the woman who helped me, and this is what happened. I gave my card, ran to the restroom, came back, got the receipts, took my thing, left. So I haven't opened my purse since until now, just now, because I had to stop and get gas. And I look at it, I'm like, oh, I don't have that card, because I've been using the same card so I can track all my expenses related to this trip. Well, apparently I can't do that anymore on the way home. That's okay. So when I explained what the card looked like, he's like very adamant that he didn't. He's like, no, I always give the cards right back. I'm like, I know, I realize that. He said that so many times. I'm like, I know, and I'm sure you're great to do that. I would appreciate that, but you're not the one who waited on me. I didn't know how many times and in different ways to tell him, but you didn't wait on me, and maybe she has different habits, or maybe, you know what, I do consider that maybe my card is not there nor here, and it's somewhere else, or it's here somewhere in my vehicle and I just maybe misplaced it. It's just funny that I hadn't opened my purse since that place. So I said, well, here's my number. He didn't even want to take my number. I think I annoyed him. I was trying to be very accommodating, but he wanted to just say no and get off the phone because he was waiting on customers. He's like, they're looking at me. They're very angry. I'm like, okay, please go wait on them. It's fine. I can wait. So that was the situation. So I'm pretty sure my card is still there, but I said, here's my number, but if I'm leaving town, just destroy it if you find it. Here's my name and number, and I will call my company and cancel it, get a new card. It's no big deal. And that's how we left it. So what else has happened? That's about it. I stopped and got gas and ice for my little cooler for the ride home, and that's it. So all of that, when I was reflecting after all that has happened in these few hours, one other weird thing happened. I lost these sunglasses at my campsite. So this is weird stuff that doesn't ever happen to me. I'm not a person who loses stuff. Well, I lost my glasses. They weren't in my car. I was looking around the campsite, which I had just torn down, so everything was clear, and I went around and looked, didn't find them. The person I meant, well, I don't know, it's like some other video. I don't even know if I mentioned it here. There's a camper who was looking for a campsite within the campground, and I said, this is a great spot, because he came up to ask me, are you supposed to go see the camp host or do it yourself with the envelope? I'm like, it is confusing to know which sites are available and which ones are first come, first serve, because they don't say. And there's like barely any reception there to go on the website to figure that out. So I'm like, I just walked up to the camp host and knocked on her RV door, and she was like, I was like, I apologize for like invading your space. She's like, it's our space. And she's a beautiful person. So I relayed that to him, and I'm like, it's fine, you can go up to her space, knock on the door, and she should be there. I just saw her walk back to her place. And I said, by the way, if you don't find a spot you like, I paid for 2 nights. That's why my sign says I leave tomorrow, but I'm actually leaving here in a couple hours. I just like a long checkout. So I paid for another night so I could have a late checkout because I'm going to drive overnight, blah, blah, blah. And so I said, and he had his daughter and granddaughter there with him, which was so cool to like share the love of camping, because he had talked about how well they wanted to fly, and I really convinced them like to enjoy a road trip and camping. And I'm like, oh yes, share that love with the younger generations. So, and he's from middle of Ohio, and I said, well, I'm from middle of Illinois, so Midwest. So we connected, and I said, you're welcome to have this if you don't mind me being in the same space for a few more hours as I just slowly pack up, maybe lay in my hammock a little bit more and read, go bathe in the creek, and then I'm out. And then you can have my parking space and all of this. And you can even have where I decided to put my tent, because I scoped everything out and I think it's the flattest spot. So we connected, and he loved that idea. So he ended up looking at other spots, but he came back and parked and started setting up, camp while I was still there. And it was like just beautiful to share that. And then, so we connected, and then on my way out, the very last thing I was doing was like, where are my sunglasses? I couldn't find them. And then he was actually there at that moment, and he was like, oh, what's going on? I was like, I'm looking for my sunglasses. Like, it's weird. I don't know where I put them. I feel like they would be in camp or in my car. And I said, I was looking around, and he started to help me look. I'm like, it's okay. They've had a good life. I'm not sad. I wish them well, and these are the ones, I'm like, I bought them years ago on a business trip. I think I bought them in one of those sunglass huts in an airport because I had forgotten mine, paid too much for them. So I've taken good care of them, but they are a little scratched up and worn and got some character. And so I said, I won't miss them. They've had a good life. But if you find them, please enjoy what remaining life they might have in them, as I told him. And we were just laughing. And then I'm like, I'm going to go get in the creek. And so when I came back, he was nowhere to be found. Like they were going to go on a hike. And I go to get in my car. He had found my glasses and hung them on my door handle. I was like, oh! I yelped. I like squealed, rather, would probably be more accurate. And then I found a piece of paper and pen and wrote him a thank you note, and his car window was open, so I just like sat it on the passenger seat, like a big old thank you and a little drawing of sunglasses. And so that happened too since we were last together. So like, car accident, losing my credit card, losing my sunglasses, like what is happening right now? And then you're probably like, girl, get off the phone. You're not in any state to be distracted. Something's definitely wrong today. But then I was reflecting, I'm like, and I even was like doing some self-healing work that I always advise other people to do, and for some reason I'm like exiting Custer State Park, and I thought, oh, let's do some of that, and I just did it to myself as I was driving through the park. So that happened also. And then I was reflecting on all the weirdnesses, and I'm like, and how they're not like revving me up like they would have in the past. And it was just a great realization to be like, the more present I am, responding in the moment without having to preemptively think about stuff all the time, like, you know, that hyper vigilance that comes with trauma. And the more trauma healing I do, the more present I become, and the less hyper vigilance I have, and the more authentically I can respond in any situation. Which, full circle moment, what got me thinking about this lesson again, and how I don't have to, my mind isn't busy like thinking about, oh man, all the things I should have said to these people, or the way I should have, like all the shoulds, like, oh, you know, getting down on myself, like attacking myself for being in such a thoughtless headspace. Like I don't know if thoughtless is the right word, it doesn't feel right, but like losing stuff, misplacing stuff. And then I'm like, it's kind of funny because you would think, and those are the attack and defense and all the, you know, the cruelty thoughts, they just weren't there. Even in all my dealings with all these people, some of I'm trying to seek help from, it didn't feel like appeasing either, which was my other go-to trauma response, is like submission and appeasing and people pleasing. That's one of, like, fawning, appeasement, you know, fight, flight, freeze, appease, submission, you know, people pleasing. So it wasn't any of that either. It was just natural. I know it seems basic to those of you who haven't dealt with this, but for those of you who have been dealing with trauma healing and like trying to understand why you are the way you are, this might resonate. And so what's a paradox to me is that you would think the more present you become, the less you lose your crap. Like, the less you lose your sunglasses and misplaced credit cards. Like, I cannot even remember the last time any of this has happened. Definitely I don't remember, oh my God, it's been years since I've had an accident. It's been years since I've really lost anything. And so you would think, oh, if you're more present, you won't lose stuff. And then I'm like, wait a minute. My hypervigilance is probably what kept me from losing stuff, and from like being hyper aware of my surroundings such that I'm not getting in accidents. And then maybe I was just so present in the moment. I was like, ooh, parking spot. I didn't even turn on a blinker, which is so not like me. So maybe there's a balance to be had because part of me is like, really, this feels like a great way to live, like not getting riled up or revved up about all these mishaps. And then part of me is like, okay, girl, you could turn on a blinker, check your surroundings. If I turned on my blinker, my car would have vibrated that somebody was in my peripheral, like in my space, and I may not have chosen to turn so abruptly, but wow, I don't care. It didn't affect me in a negative way in the moment. So I'm like, I hope it's not a post-traumatic event response about to happen, but it doesn't feel like it. I just feel spacious, not spacey. I don't feel that either, which you would think with all this like loss and accident and all, you'd think, why am I in such a spacey state today? But I'm not. I feel like when I was putzing around campsite this morning, enjoying my late checkout, I was just like, oh, let's do this now. Oh, I feel like doing that now. Like taking one thing, whatever was just like appealing to me as the next thing to do. It was in no logical order. Definitely logic was not part of it. Let me turn on my cruise control. I said, I'm going to go exactly the speed limit the whole way home. I'm in no rush. Oh my God, it just went to 80 miles per hour. No. Literally went from 65 to 80. I'm going to back that down to 75. So I just lied. I'm not going to go the speed limit. I'm definitely not going to go over the speed limit. So anyway, I feel like maybe I did want to tell you all of that because it's full circle related to the lesson of not injecting cruelty into is it innocuous situations? Is that a good word to use? Like, these situations don't call for cruelty, nor mounting a defense out of fear. I didn't feel any fear in any of these situations. I didn't feel any, like, even the credit card didn't bum me out. I'm just like, oh, I have other means to pay for gas on my drive home. I don't need it. I can cancel it and request another one. But what's funny is my head would have thought about all of that really fast and like gotten a little revved up about it, and none of that happened. It just, those thoughts came after the fact of dealing with the situation. So anyway, this might all be normal stuff for you and be like a non-thing. But again, for those of you if this resonates, like, I think about how it's hard to tell how you're evolving and adapting and growing through trauma healing. And I say that, trauma healing, that seems so like dramatic, right? The word trauma just naturally feels dramatic. But no, it's just like nervous system regulation, if you want to just bare bones it. And somehow through all of these last couple years of like pretty intense self-work, oh my God, I have seen so many Tesla trucks. This might be my baker's dozen, I don't know. So many there he goes. I go on a lot of road trips, maybe not a lot since Tesla trucks became a thing, but there's more than I would think out here in the wilderness and the mountains and like adventure cities, like tourism places. I don't know where I would think Tesla trucks are common, but they are out here in the wilderness, out in the wild. So anyway, I was just thinking about that earlier, and then another one comes through. I think that's like a dozen I've seen these last 2 weeks. So that seemed like a lot. So what was I saying? So anyway, it was like just nervous system healing and intense work for the last couple of years. So oftentimes, like, these incremental, some have been big heal, like, whoa, I just felt a big release. Some are just so subtle. Most are so subtle because I'm doing it in a very, we call it titrated way, like just a little bit at a time. Not like, bam, get in there, rip it open, suck it out. No, it's like that can be re-traumatizing or too intense. That might just create other wounds. So anyway, in doing it very slowly and intentionally, and because really, like, that's what I want to bring to my clients is this. It doesn't have to be like, now people are all about TRE, traumatic release exercises, where it's like you just gotta start shaking it out, like get yourself into such a state where you tremble, like shake it out. Well, that can be really intense. Like, you don't even have to do it like that. But I think a lot of people, because it's hyped up on social media, think like, oh, that is a gentle way to release it, and it's self-driven. So it's like, I don't need to spend thousands of dollars on therapy to do it. And I agree, you don't have to. And that's part of my journey too, is wanting to support making it accessible to people to do a little bit on your, but also doing too much too quickly also can have some drawbacks. Why am I going in? This is a lesson 170. I gotta make a different video about this stuff, perhaps. So anyway, I think where I was going to just wrap this up, and it is related, is sometimes with all this work we do on ourselves or with others, like, we don't see the effects because it is so incremental. If you're doing it slowly and intentionally and gently, like really compassionately, because it's like having compassion for your system. Like, thank you, system. Thank you, body and nervous system and all of the parts, all the self. You have kept me safe for a long time. You've adapted in ways that you thought were because you needed to be safe, like, and bringing compassion to that and gratitude. It's like our bodies and systems, they're so wise. They keep us humming along, for the most part. For most people, I guess. And we seem pretty functional. We can get through our daily lives. And, but there's a lot inside. It takes a lot of energy to do that for people who've undergone like some pretty traumatic events. So anyway, to stop and realize, like, wait a minute, when like it's the power of three, all three things, like the accident, the credit card, and the glasses, three things way out of the norm caught my attention. Like, if it's one thing, it's just one thing. Two, oh, interesting. Three, it's like, okay. So this third thing, so three, I was like, oh wow, I am noticing how differently I feel through each event, and the accumulation of three events doesn't feel like an accumulation at all, like the culmination or accumulation, whatever. It doesn't feel like anything. It just feels like, oh, that happened. And you know what was funny is I've been reflecting also on how, like, oh wow, I do feel like I'm the same and yet somehow different. Fundamentally the same, but the different maybe on all the surface stuff, like behavioral, emotional, all that stuff feels more spacious. And so to stop and reflect on that is like, wow, maybe this actually works, even though I do it for my clients because I truly know it works and believe it works. And for myself, I'm like, oh yeah, it works. Target lady, anyone? So that's when I think about this lesson, like, yeah, I didn't mount any defenses. I didn't have attack thoughts on myself or the other people or anything. Like, none of that, no cruelty was injected where no cruelty needed to happen. So, and cruelty is a thing based out of like a response to fear, and I didn't feel fear in any of that. Underneath, fear can look like anything and feel like anything, just, in any situation, different like amounts of fear. So, but none of that, no amount. And so I'm like, wow, maybe there's been some changes on the surface here. And they feel pretty deep, even though fundamentally I'm the same person. I feel like so much more spacious. I don't know another word other than I can allow more things to exist together and know that, like, I can respond appropriately in the present moment to whatever happens, and it doesn't have to like activate me, or, and it's not like it goes to it doesn't even like, some people might be like, well, you don't have to think that way, you don't have to like, but no, it'll happen in the body first. Like, I didn't even feel like my normal bzz, revving up. I don't know what else to call it. Somebody else recently used the term revving up, like they felt revved up, and I'm like, that's a great way to put it, to describe that feeling, the nervous system activation. You just feel like a revving. Yeah, I was just like, but I'm not flatlined either, because you might think, ooh, are you in freeze? No, I'm like dynamic and responding. I don't know how else to describe it. This stuff really works. So yeah, that's about this lesson. I do realize that if I inject cruelty into a situation, it's a defense mechanism, because underneath it all, it's all on this foundation of fear. So if you can see fear for what it is, it's an illusion, meaning just keep looking it right in the face. It'll dissolve over and over and over again till it just doesn't take hold anymore. Now, I'm sure I'll feel fear in other points in life. It's not like it's gone for good. It might be appropriate to feel fear, or the times where maybe it's inappropriate because it's not a valid, like it's an illusion. It's like attaching to that fear. Then hopefully I recognize it for what it is over and over and over again. And it seems to be happening less and less, and my system's getting revved up less and less. And that's a beautiful feeling, just to like feel more like your authentic self, right? So that's how this is all related. And this was a very long reflection. Thanks for coming along on this ride with me. Literally. You had a funny thought earlier. I'll end with that since I said the word literally. I was like reading in my hammock and a thought came in about, I don't know why this thought came in, but it was like, and I laughed because of the irony, because I was like, I literally don't take anything literally anymore. So I'm just gonna reflect on that and get my brain in a twist, because I love twisty brains. I love twisty brains. Don't you? Don't you love when your brain gets twisty and you're like, ugh, it hurts so good? But like when you literally don't take anything literally anymore, what's it mean? Am I taking things literally? Or okay, I gotta go. I'm following a semi-truck at 12 miles under the speed limit, which is pretty nice. And I'm on I-90 heading east, heading home. So I'm excited to see Matt and everybody. And I'm going to arrive in town just before Jimmy Jam, which is a big music event in my hometown. And Matt is playing, no, I think he's playing accordion, not trumpet, accordion. And so I get to drop in probably right when that event starts and see my honey and my friends. So I'm really excited to be, I mean, I'm sad. Not sad isn't a right word. I'm trying to get more accurate with my words that describe my emotions, which is another thing about being present with them and not just going to old stories or the old ways I communicate, unless it's relevant. But now sadness isn't relevant. I'm excited to see everyone. I feel refreshed, rejuvenated, more spacious. I feel connected to myself and nature. I feel more well-rounded, like I've filled out all my edges. I feel like I can respond in the moment, in the present moment. And I feel like a lot of change and growth has happened, and a lot of new experiences, met a lot of new people, had some very nice, like, interesting interactions. Like, it's been a wonderful 2 weeks and 2 days. So if it's not, I didn't really have an agenda of things to do or see or accumulate. It was more like, just go and be. And I did that. What else can you do? Just be. Yeah, so there's not sadness even at all. I feel like it was just a right amount of time, and I'm ready to go back and be with my people. And just a side note, I am excited for what's coming up, not just tomorrow's music event and then going on the lake with our friends and chilling, but I'll have a nice full week of work, which will be great to get back to like doing my work. And then the following week, I'm off again to camp with my family at our lake where I grew up camping. And I get a little emotional because I feel different this year going into it. Like, I'm just so excited to just chill and exist with my family. Our family reunion gets so weirdly big. I'm excited to show up a little differently this year. Still myself, but more like taking more in. And I think that's another thing with trauma healing, your aperture opens. I feel like my aperture of what I can take in is definitely opened. So that's another way to self-check, like, is growth happening? Am I able to take in more? Can more exist within my space? Yeah, that's definitely happening. And yeah, I'm really excited to camp for a few nights in where I grew up camping. Even though it's so humid and mosquito-y, it's way different from where I've been, but I like different, so it's all good. I'm gonna stop rambling now, and I'll have to splice these videos together somehow. That's why I'm holding it this way versus this way, because I knew, oh, if I have to splice them, it's not gonna like different orientations. And that's my last random thought that you didn't really care about. Thanks for again coming along on this windy ride. Bye.